Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Excited to have you all here. Sorry for the minute delay on that one. It's always the fun part of having back-to-back meetings, so apologies for that. We will get started in just a second. It looks like we've got a pretty good group already in the meeting, but we'll just give everybody maybe 30 seconds more, and I'm going to start sharing my screen while we do that, and then we'll do introductions and get going. Matt, I don't think I have rights to share my screen. Can you?
Let's see.
It's not letting me, at least. There we go.
You should be
Thank
able
you.
now. Yeah,
I can.
okay.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Right. Okay, and we should be on air. Can everybody see that? For those that can talk to me.
Yeah, it looks good. I see your video and I see your screen. So.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that was just enough time to let other people join in. It doesn't really look like the attendee list is moving too much more, so I think we are where we are, and if people join us, that is great too. So once again, welcome to February's webinar. Great to have you guys here. What I want to do is actually go right away into questions, open Q&A. I know in January we didn't do that. We kind of went through, if you guys remember, anybody that was on, we actually went through this, and we will divert to this if we need to. If there's not a ton of questions, we will look at what of some of the options that came up on here. But because we didn't get to do a lot of questions in the last one, I do want to just open it up for questions right out of the gate and see what you guys have, because I feel like I didn't get to cover those things for you in January. So I want to make sure that we've had a bit of a 2-month gap. So I want to make sure that we cover any of those things. While we're doing that, I'll introduce myself and my co-presenters. So I am Tiffany Bachmeyer. I lead the manufacturing consulting team here at Autodesk. But I am today wearing my AutoCAD Electrical SME hat, and I am here to help you guys with any questions you have from beginner, intermediate to advanced AutoCAD Electrical. I've been using AutoCAD Electrical since the inception of it into the Autodesk family back in 2004. I've been on AutoCAD since R10, so that ages me a bit, but I've been in it for a long time. I'm happy to help, excited to do this. If you guys have ever joined classes I've taught at AU, things like that, I still keep actively in this, even though I am not doing this type of consulting work really anymore. I still stay actively involved so that we can bring these kinds of webinars and these opportunities to you guys. So happy to be here, happy to help. Matt Durst is on my team, a vault expert, as well as many other things within the manufacturing world. And he is here to help me and assist with any questions that you guys have from the vault side, and also just to help me stay on track with all the questions coming through. And Anton is also here with us, helping lead and organize these webinars, and we're very grateful for all of his assistance and support in these. So that is the team. And I don't know, do we have any questions coming in yet, Matt? I don't actually have my question pane open.
No questions as of now, but yeah, if people want to submit their questions through the question pane, they can do so there. Also too, if you do have a microphone or you've called in, I believe you should be able to unmute yourself. If you're not able to do so, you can just let me know and I can unmute your line. But you can also ask questions live too with Tiffany. So either one will work.
Absolutely. And sometimes I will ask you to do that if I need clarifying questions from what you write in anyway. You're also welcome to share your screen. So lots of interactive ability on this one. So thanks, Matt. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a second to type in perhaps some of the things you have. While you're doing that, I'll review some of the things we maybe want to go over from the questions that have come up in the last webinar, where we kind of decided other key topics that we wanted to do for this. Ooh, Matt, I see a question that is a bit for both of us, I think. So it looks like Matthew Heath is asking, what is the best way to copy drawings from one project to another when using AutoCAD Electrical and Vault Pro? So Matt, I'll take part of this, and then I think I'm going to hand off the other part to you because you can discuss it. So there's two different ways. You can do it directly in AutoCAD Electrical, or you can do it within Vault. In Electrical, when you want to copy, so it sounds like your question, and I want to cover two things with this discussion. It sounds like your question is specifically drawings to project, not an entire project. There is an entire project opportunity as well. So within a project, if you look at my AutoCAD Electrical, if I were to say, I really wanted, this particular drawing here to be a part of my basic workflow, you can right click on these and you can say copy to, and then you can move them from one project to another project. Now, if both projects are in your project manager, you should be able to do that, and Vault will recognize and open and update and add those to it. So you can do it all natively within the system. Just for anybody curious, you can actually copy an entire project with everything to it. I like this a lot better than a standard Windows copy. And I even like it better than the copy design within Vault, which I'll let Matt talk about in a second. Only because when you go through this, if I were to say I want to copy this active project, and I were to actually, I don't really want to add this, but I'll just do it. Test copy here. What I want you guys to see is when you grab everything, it not only grabs all of the drawings, but it actually grabs all of the related project files that we have within Electrical. So as probably many of you on this call know, there are many different support files, many of them are listed here that you're seeing, that make our project so intelligent. So if we already have those in one project and I want to copy them to be able to be used in the next project, I can do that with this utility. It just brings everything with it. And it renames everything. If you just do a Windows copy, or even a, and Matt, you might have to keep me honest on this one because this is your space, but on a copy design within Vault, I'm not sure you necessarily get all of the label updating that you get in here, so that we can kind of change pathing as well as all of the titles of all of these for the project files. So if I were to say yes to all this, you can even see that I can go through and do a find and replace and swap out maybe that I'm calling this, AU 2019 NFPA, and I want this to become AU 2020 because it's going to be the next one, that I want to make sure that I'm bringing all those forward. And I can have it do that and update all of the pathing there. So that's why I like this utility, but I want Matt to be able to, there are other benefits to utilizing the copy design within Vault Pro. So I will let Matt take it from there.
Yeah, Tiffany, is there a way I can, if I make myself presenter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's go. Okay, and apologize for that. Someone's at the front door earlier. Oh. So yeah, my Google Home went off and I had a package arrive. So yeah, so like Tiffany had said, there's a little bit more electrical specific functionality when you're doing the copy inside AutoCAD. So there are some limitations, I guess, on the Vault side as far as what it's going to pick up that she was talking about. But certainly you can go into Vault and let's say you wanted to grab a set of DWGs, you can shift select, control select, whatever you want to do and copy those drawings. So you're just going to right click those and you'll do your copy design. Now within the copy design, it's going to pick up any relationships that you have between those files as well. So at this point you would shift select, say copy to. We would choose a location inside the Vault where we want to copy that to. Maybe there's a new project already created. Click OK. And then you get some cool functionality over here where the destination name is. You can do find and replace. So when you do find and replace, you can replace the copy of, or whatever it is. If you did have a project number in there, you could quickly replace that with the new project number value. So I think there are benefits to both, and you actually might be able to do use both of them. Actually, maybe start inside AutoCAD, and then once the drawings exist inside Vault, you can use the renaming functionality to maybe rename some of those drawings a little bit quicker. But the process really shouldn't be much different minus Vault if you're using the AutoCAD method. Those are just going to end up in Vault right at the end. So great question.
So it looks like that we have a few more. While you were talking, I was looking at them. Actually, I was going to keep you up on screen, but that's okay. We might not need it if we just want to talk to it for a second. So there is a separate question about creating bombs, which comes up next, but I'll do that in a second because I actually, and that could tie to Vault as well, because there are abilities to do Vault bombs. So we're kind of on a Vault AutoCAD Electrical discussion right now. But I'm going to skip over that one just for a second to talk about the two next questions that are very specifically electrical and Vault, and then we'll come back to that. So Joel, we'll come right back to you. Brian asks, what are the gotchas when using AutoCAD Electrical with Vault? So I kind of want to unpack that a little bit because I'm not sure I necessarily see, and Matt, I would love to have you add into this too. I'm not sure I see gotchas as much as I see massive benefit. The key with Vault, unlike any other data management packages out there, is that Vault actually recognizes the inner workings of how AutoCAD Electrical works with the project file and the drawing files better than any other data management package. Most other data management packages out there that I've experienced, and I've actually not found a different one yet today that is not, that can do what AutoCAD Electrical and Vault do together. Most other data management packages that say they support AutoCAD Electrical simply know that that means that there is a WDP file that exists and that they know that that actually has to reference these drawing files. So what it does is it locks you down then when you're using AutoCAD Electrical and any other data management package to checking out the entire project. So you check out that project file and then all the drawings come to you, but it's just you who can work in it. Now that might be okay, and many of you who are on here's organization, that might be how you operate, and that's okay. In most cases though, in the way AutoCAD Electrical natively is designed to work even without a data management package, is that multiple people can be in a project at any given time. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Let me see if I can make myself presenter. I wonder if I can. I just am not getting the ability to share screen. It keeps getting taken away from me. Okay, which is odd. Okay, I think we're there. So if I were to click on any one of these drawings, you can see a preview here, but then you can actually see details where I can see who has it currently open, who had it last edited, and all of that. So there's information that comes in here, and that flexibility is actually a part of why the benefit of being able to have multiple people in a project set at one time is so massively impactful, because now you could have somebody working in one section, somebody else could be working in another section, everything's tying together, their updates are all being updated live, and Vault allows for that. So what Vault does is it doesn't check out the whole project, it checks out the drawing by drawing is what you're in, and if you affect a drawing that's in a different spot within the project by what you're doing on your drawing, because obviously we have lots of connections, then it automatically checks out that drawing, makes those updates, and then checks it back in and brings you right back to your current drawing. So you don't have to do all that. You don't have to keep track of where it is and what it's doing. So it works just like it would without data management within AutoCAD Electrical natively, where AutoCAD Electrical allows the same thing to happen. It'll automatically go out, update said drawings, come back to your drawing that you're on. So there are a lot of massive benefits to, and obviously data management in general is a better way to organize everything. The other piece to it is the implementation side of AutoCAD Electrical. So there is, if you've ever heard me talk about this, because of all of the support files, the catalog database, the libraries of all of our symbols, those are all things you really want to share as a company. And if you don't have those in a shared network drive, or you don't like doing it over a shared network drive because of network latency issues, or you want to be able to detach from the network and go off and work on things while you're on the road or remote or whatever, then the benefit of being able to have all that managed and backed up in data management goes far deeper than just the backup side of it, right? Now you actually have the ability to have it backed up and it's on a network location that's shared, i.e. it's in the vault, but you actually copy it down locally the way that we utilize Vault, that file then becomes available locally on your computer. So you have the benefit of working locally while having the backup and the restoration and the constant updates of a shared directory with other people. So to me, and this is Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If there are gotchas, I don't personally look at any gotchas. I think it's only benefit to utilizing Vault and AutoCAD Electrical together.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more I can really add to this. Just to really get behind what Tiffany is saying, there's just added benefit, right? You're still working exactly the same way as you did before. You're just having some added benefit of having the data essentially on a smart network managed area where other people can access the data. It's just an additional layer of security and a place where your data is backed up and stored. So if something were to happen, you do have a master copy of it. So really, it's just another layer of security and being able to manage the data. So I wouldn't say there's any gotchas per se, just added benefit.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so the next question Mark has on Vault to create the batch PDF. Matt, I don't know, that's actually a you question. I don't know if it does that, but I want to talk about how that happens natively in AutoCAD Electrical first. And then I'll let you take it from there. Although let me read this a little bit further. Our workflow creates a PDF per drawing when changing from WIP to release, but I'm needing to create a single multi-page PDF. Okay, so Matt, I'm going to hand this to you because I don't know the inner workings of that within Vault, but let's talk about it natively from Electrical. So outside of Vault, with what you're doing with those release states, you can right from your project file, and this is not my active project, let's activate it. You can publish to a PDF. And if I were to take all of my drawings, I want you to see this. This is really important. And obviously you should be using Paperspace. So I would recommend that you're plotting to your first layout tab, but make sure you include this because this allows your PDF to now become intelligent where it has hyperlinks and works just like our surfing utility within Electrical. If you natively had the project files and you were working in the software, could work for somebody who doesn't have to have the software. They have the PDF, they can jump between linked devices, all of that information is in there. So really powerful PDF creation here, and this would be for the whole project. So I don't know how that works natively in Vault, but Matt, I'm sure you can talk more about the release stages and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so currently right now, the Vault functionality is going to create a single page PDF throughout your release process. It is a common question. As you know, PDF publishing is fairly new in the last couple of releases of Vault. So right now, they are adding functionality to that, like being able to specify a PDF publish location, right? There's some additional publish options, enabling manual PDF creation, so not really going through a life cycle, right-clicking and being able to publish on demand. So they are adding things to the PDF publish functionality inside Vault, but currently there's nothing that's going to be able to create multi-page out of the box for you. I was actually just looking at our Vault Enterprise add-on. So this is some additional functionality that you can install on top of Vault. And we do have an entire published jobs configuration that can be set. And I believe that you can get the end result of a multi-page PDF. But I believe in some cases, using the CAD application like Tiffany had mentioned might be better than trying to go from Vault. I do understand though that there's a lifecycle process that is taking place. So sometimes that is the better place to actually send out that PDF after it's been reviewed and released and approved. So look into the Vault Enterprise add-on. And while we're on this meeting here, I'm going to pull that up on the side here and see if I can get some definitive information on being able to create the multi-page PDF. But that's a great question.
Perfect. Yeah, it was a very good question. And actually, while we were talking, Raymond added to the question pane, just be careful with the substitution from the SHX, the fonts to the true type fonts, and that is true. So if you have older type fonts in there, they will not function properly to the hyperlinks, but that utility will actually do the swap out for you. So you can do that, and then it works great, and it's an easy thing. If you're using the native functionality to AutoCAD Electrical, you won't have any problems. So if you're using the standard font types that are in your projects, but if you've done some sort of project-wide font update, which we can do in our project utilities, yeah, just be careful with that. Okay, and now I'm having a hard time keeping track of these questions because there are many coming in, which is fantastic. So Matt, I might have to defer back to you, but going along the same lines with that, there was Wow, we have a lot of vault questions. I don't want to lose sight of the BOM question, though. That was the very beginning. So let me circle back to that, and we'll go back to the vault questions. So, because I think this one can tie into vault too. So Joel asked the question of how do you create a BOM from a completed schematic or panel? So I want to talk about that from within electrical. And then there's actually the ability to do that within vault as well when you make all of the items or all of the objects items within vault. And I'm sure, Matt, you can probably speak to that a little bit more. But let's talk about what the software does natively. So if I wanted to run a report and do a bill of material, now you specifically asked Joel about schematics or a panel, so you can do them separately. There is a report section here for just specifically the schematics that you can run a bill of material on. I personally skip over this kind of thing. There are reasons you might do it, but I would go right to the panel reports. This is where you can get your holistic BOM. So your full and complete BOM, the one that would go to your ERP system, is it located in this particular spot. So this is panel and then reports, and this is bill of material. Because what it will do is it'll include everything in your panel drawings that you would never see in your schematics, right? Like enclosures, DIN rails, terminal strips will be in there because of obviously the terminals being in the schematics, but any other additional accessories, things like that, that maybe weren't added to the schematic. So that kind of stuff will already be there. And then it will make sure if there is something that's not in the panel that's in the schematics, it includes those as well. But this is where you get your full BOM. So you would do this project wide. There are different display options for how you do it. Normally tallied format is the most common, but all of these are super customizable. And once we go into it and I say I want it to look at all drawings, I'll just show you what comes up here. So you can get the full then report here and you can start modifying. So all of our reports, any of them, not just the bill of materials, are, like I said, completely customizable. And there's lots of different ways to do that customization. I'll show you the most basic. So here I can choose what fields from this field list I want to report. You can also choose, so this description field includes all of these extra separate fields that come in from the catalog database entries. You can also rename any of these. So if you don't like item number, or let's say you don't like tag, and you want to now make that component, you can rename those things and that will update and change your report format. You can also add in, so for instance, we have the user 1, 2, and 3 fields. That is often a column people want to add because they use that for their company. So let's say I was doing this for Autodesk, I would put this in and say Autodesk, but you would probably put your own company name here because that's your own personal number that ties to that manufacturer and catalog number. So those are different things that you can do with it. You can also edit right here. So if there's something that wasn't in the project that you want added to the BOM, you can do that here. I would challenge you on why that's the case because it really should live within the drawing set, but you can do it if you need to. Now, the next step is either saving it to a file format or putting it on the drawing. I will show you both. So saving it to a file format, we have ASCII, Excel, Access, XML, and CSV. So all of these reports can go out to any of those different file formats, which any ERP system I've come across can take in one of these. And so you shouldn't have to duplicate this work to be able to bring this in back into your ERP system. And then the other thing that we have the option of doing is putting it on the drawing. So we can do it as a table format. You can modify these tables. You can have it split across drawings. You can do all of that. This is obviously going to be way too big for my drawing space, but I'm just going to put it outside for you to see it. But this is the full table. And these are edited. It's just like Excel. You can type into here. You can do whatever you want to do. Again, you really shouldn't be manually typing because all of this should come from the drawings themselves, and it should automatically be able to populate and fill these out so that you're not manually doing that, because then you can update. As changes happen to the project, you can run an update on this and it'll just repopulate and fill everything in with those changes. So you really don't want to have manual editing, but you do have the capability if you need to. So that's the report tools. I just wanted to show that. Matt, do you want to speak to how you can run BOMs out of Vault then as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Vault has an area. So there's a couple different areas inside Vault. There's a Project Explorer, which handles the files and the documents themselves. And then there's an area in Vault called the Item Master. And this is where we start assigning items, that we call them, to the documents and files themselves, which represent the bill of material. So what I can do for you, because this is a very in-depth and kind of long explanation or conversation that you could have, I was able to locate a white paper of how to integrate AutoCAD Electrical with Vault in the sense of getting that bill of material. So what I can do for, I'm trying to find that question there. It looks like Joel had created that. So I'm going to provide a link. Let me see if I can do 2 links, because one is to kind of the knowledge base, and then there's another link that goes right to the white paper itself. So there's going to be 2 links in there, and I separated them by a dash. You'll be able to see the HTTP in there where they both start. So let me send that to all. So what I would do is encourage you to go through this knowledge base, take a look at this, and then also go through that white paper. It is referencing an older version of Vault, but the concept will still apply. So some of the dialog boxes might be a little bit different, but the overall concept will still apply. And this should get you really close to creating your bill of material inside the Vault if you do have one set up.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think the next question on the list is for you, Matt.
Yeah, I was just looking at that one. So that's another great question. I'm a little bit more familiar with the revision table inside of Inventor.
Let's just read it to everybody, just so everybody knows what the.
Yeah. Okay. So when you copy a project in Vault, does it clear the Vault revision table? So as some of you might know, Vault has a controlled revision table. So as you're life cycling your project and your files from work in progress to review to released and so forth, you can revision those files, and Vault can control that revision by the system. And what it can automatically do is add rows and dynamically add content to your revision table on the CAD file. So the question is, if I copy from an original project that maybe has some revision history, does that revision table get cleared? Again, I can't say one way or another, just because I don't have the specific experience with doing that. My gut would be that it would not clear, but I don't want to say for sure. So what I can do is show you just real quick. So I'm just going to steal presenter one more time, Tiffany.
No problem. I like this back and forth that we're doing. I think it's nice.
Yeah, can you see?
We can.
All right. Well, okay, good. So let me go into the behaviors tab, and if you just go to revision table, so the first time you go in there, it's going to ask you to enable it. So there is this option here where it says detect the revision scheme change and remove previous revision history. So typically I see this being used when you have maybe more of an R&D process that goes into, that actually moves forward into an actual manufacturing process that's approved. So sometimes we'll use that. And then also I've read before that omitting the initial revision row, that kind of will reset it as well. At least on the Inventor example that I was referring to. So I would take a look at those 2 options and do some testing. I don't have the time right now to run through and do the testing, but those would be the 2 options that I would look at for the Vault revision table.
Thank you. Perfect. All right. Where are we next? Do you need separate sections in a project in order to have multiple people work within the project with Vault? So Matt, I'll hand that to you, but I can definitely tell you from an AutoCAD Electrical standpoint, you don't need these sections to do that. I don't have to have things separated out. This just makes it a whole lot easier to see. This is not a Windows Explorer thing or even a Vault thing where it's separate folders. This is just how the project gets to be organized itself. And you could do as many of these as you want just to make it easier when you're running project-wide commands. Project-wide means anything more than 1. So you can really choose to say, okay, I want everything that's in that schematics folder. And that's your project-wide, because you can make those delineations with project-wide. It's not all or nothing with project-wide. So that's really the reason for folders. It does make it easier when you're working with multiple people to do that, but it's certainly not a requirement. And I don't think it is within Vault, but Matt, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, so within Vault, we have something called links. So I see a lot of people sometimes when multiple people are working within a project and maybe the files that they're working on are kind of scattered across different folders or different projects, they'll actually create a temporary workspace. And you can call the folder whatever you want, and then you can create links from those original files to this one working area. So if you did want to kind of separate in sections of a project that you're working on, that is one of the ways that you can do it inside Vault. And let me see if I can actually have a dialog box up here. Give me 1 second, it's on one of my other screens. Okay. Actually, I don't want to do that. So if you just wanted to create a link, you can hold down, I thought it was there. Why am I not seeing it? I thought it was a hold down on your right mouse button. There's a paste as link. So you could copy that way. And then if I wanted to edit paste as link, that's one way of doing it. I know there's another shortcut doing it too. I think you can right mouse button, hold and drag, and that gives you the option to create a link as well. For some reason it wasn't working for me. So you can copy and then edit, paste as link, and that's going to create a link to that file. So no matter what you do with that file right now, it's going to be like you're working on the original one. So that's one way to kind of create a workspace for you to work on if your files exist in different projects, or you just want to group a set of files so you're not touching another set of files.
Good deal. Thank you. Perfect. I just learned something new. I actually didn't know about that linking in Vault. So that's always exciting. Brian, to answer your question, it looks like it was circling back on what we were talking about earlier. Are you saying that the schematic and footprint libraries can live in Vault? I absolutely am saying that. Yes. A basic Vault implementation would be just putting your projects and your drawings in Vault. The more full implementation of Vault and AutoCAD Electrical, which I highly recommend doing, is putting all of your support files into Vault. So you're linking, when you actually go to do your install of electrical, you actually set up the standard shared directories in the expansion of the install list. You say, I want this to actually look at my Vault workspace, and then you end up moving all of those files into the Vault to be backed up there, managed from there. You can give user permissions on all of those things. And then your setup is already preset to all of your files looking at the Vault workspace area on your computer. And everything's put up into the Vault. So yes, I think that is the hands down best way to set up a full AutoCAD Electrical environment at an enterprise level.
Tiffany, let me just go back to the link question.
Yeah.
So if you right mouse button, click drag to a folder within this area, it works. You can do
Perfect.
the create link like that.
Okay.
It just doesn't work when you drag over into, well, now it seems like it's working that way too. So
always
I'm
fun
not
live
sure.
Demos. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I missed there, but okay. Anyways.
Good deal. Thank you. Okay. Let's see, where are we? And Matt, I'll let you read the bigger one that's below it. I'm going to tackle this E-Plan one while maybe you can unpack that one. So have you had, so Rick is asking, have you had any exposure to E-Plan? Your thoughts on comparing the two? So Rick, yes, I have for many years actually, and I was in the industry doing this long before I was actually doing it from a consulting standpoint. So lots of exposure to E-Plan as well. I'll tell you my initial thoughts on this, and this is not me wearing my I work for Autodesk hat. This is me wearing my I'm a user who's been doing it and working with it hat to tell you the differences that I feel. There are a lot of things that E-Plan is very good at. I would say that they are in many ways one of our strongest competitors to AutoCAD Electrical. Usability, user interface, and ease of learning and doing, there's no comparison. E-Plan is antiquated looking. If you open it up and you look at the toolbars and the web interfaces and everything else that they have, it is so convoluted. and so limiting in the drawing aspects that I was so frustrated by it. It was just not worth it to me. Now, obviously, capabilities wise, we compare very evenly to each other. In most cases, if you were to compare side by side to the packages, they can do the same things, same capabilities, all of that. The other interesting piece to that, though, is that ePlan tends to come in at about 5 times the price point of AutoCAD Electrical. So that's another big comparison piece that to me was just never worth it when I knew I could do everything I wanted to do and more with AutoCAD Electrical. Especially from a drawing standpoint. So ePlan is very much, it's not where AutoCAD Electrical was built on top of AutoCAD so that you still have all your full AutoCAD capability. You don't have that same thing with an ePlan. So you're a little bit more limited in the things that you can draw and do more free form and freehand that you might want. That may matter to you, it may not, but to me, that was a really big deal. I wanted all the full capability that I could have within AutoCAD, as well as all of the electrical benefits and everything else. So to me, that was really, really impactful. And the flexibility of that was important to me. So that would be high level my comparison. I'm happy to break down more things with you if there's something specific that you're really looking into or you want to know more about. I have a lot of experience with both packages. So and feel free to reach out to me, email me, and we can talk about that if you have more questions. But high level, those would be my answers to your comparison question. So Matt, the next one.
Yes. So this is actually a really good question. I'm glad you asked it, Matthew. So the question is, they can delete files from AutoCAD Electrical and locally, but when they try to delete files from Vault, it will not let them because the file is still referenced by an older version of the project file. So what is the best practice to get rid of this file? If you do want to actually just delete the file, there's a couple different deletes inside Vault, and I'll talk about those right now. So with Vault 2020, we have this ability to create and manage roles. This is huge because before, if you're an administrator and you wanted to go on and do one task, which I'm about to get to, is delete unconditionally, well, now you can do everything else inside Vault 2. And typically, corporations or companies don't want their users being able to do everything under the sun that an administrator can do. So what we can do now is if we take a look at this administrator role, we see all these permissions that this administrator can do. This is what we don't want our users being able to do, but maybe we want them to be able to do one of these things within here. And that thing you're looking for is file delete unconditionally. So that means even though there's a reference to older version of the project file, you could delete that file unconditionally. So you could create a custom role. You say new role, and maybe this is a light administrator role. And then you can kind of select and add some of those permissions. And then the other part of that, so I don't know if the question was, how can I delete the file? Or would this actually cause an issue because it's referenced by an older version of the project file? So Tiffany, do you see any issue with that if we're deleting a file that's referenced by an older version of a project file? So I guess maybe I have to ask the next question, Matthew. Are you trying to delete a version of this drawing and you want to keep the other version for the old version of the project file? Or you just want to remove the file completely and entirely? That's the way that you would do that, right? You need to do that delete unconditionally. So you do have to be an administrator in order to set up that new role for you to be able to do that. Otherwise, yes, you will be stopped from being able to delete that.
Are we waiting for that response?
How to, not worried about other people. Okay, good. Okay. So I hope I answered your question there with that.
Good deal. Mark, you asked when will those changes roll out, and apologies, I think that probably was in relation to something else that we talked about, and I'm not sure which piece that was. So if you don't mind writing back in there what specifically you were talking about with the when will those changes roll out, I would happy to answer that. Just need a little bit more clarity on it. Matt, I think the next one is back to you again. Can Vault still manage the databases if they are in SQL?
Can Vault still manage the databases if they are in SQL?
I don't know if they would. I don't know if it would need to. So, for anybody who doesn't know, most of our databases are set up as Microsoft Access databases. But in 2017, we rolled out SQL support, so you can move and migrate your databases from being managed by Microsoft Access database to being managed by SQL. I would think that that would cause it. I don't know if it would even need to be in Vault then, because it would just be referencing a SQL server.
Yeah, I guess I'm just maybe a little confused on the question exactly what they mean. Vault still manage the databases. Actually, the databases would be managed by SQL. So Vault does sit on Microsoft SQL as its database.
Right.
So there's a connection there, but I don't know that Vault needs to manage those databases. If they're sitting inside SQL, they can sit alongside the Vault database inside SQL, but
yeah.
I don't think Vault needs to manage those or will manage those.
I think the question would be more of, do we need to check in, check out via Vault for those, like we do with the Microsoft Access databases, if they're in SQL? And I'm not sure there would be a need for that then.
No, it's a direct link from AutoCAD to Microsoft SQL for those access to those databases.
Yeah. So good question, Brandon. Let's see, what's next? When we recently upgraded 2019, I've noticed that when I add a new drawing to the project, I have to use the refresh button to see the drawing appear versus, I think you meant 2016, it would just appear. Is this a setting fix or could it be an install failure? That's odd, Ken, because that to me tells me it's almost a refresh rate on your computer with how it's handling that. Every now and then I have to do things like that, but that is definitely not, if I add a new drawing right now to this, and watch it make me a liar, but if I were to add a new drawing to this, it just pops up. So and I'm in 2020, so I don't think that, oh, I'm sorry. I just realized that I am not showing my screen because Matt had been showing. Hold on one second. Sorry, everybody. I'll do it again. So if I just add a drawing to this, and I'm not being very good about how I'm doing it, but you can see the first one I put in there. They just automatically pop up, and I'm in 2020. So I think that might be a graphical issue maybe on your computer. There could be something with your settings. There could be a refresh rate happening with the computer versus the version of the software. But I would say that is definitely not a standard feature of 2019 or 2020. I think that is probably an install issue with just, and I don't necessarily think the install is bad. I just think perhaps it's your computer settings. So what you have running for hardware just may be causing that. That would be my initial thought on it. Okay, let's see. Have you been able to read the next one, Matt, or should I read into that one?
No, the one by Bradley?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so I just read that one. Actually, Bradley, Vault would be absolutely perfect for this workflow that you have here. So Bradley is looking to essentially work on drawings on his desktop, and then he has a laptop. Sometimes he goes to the client site, and he has to copy those back and forth between computers. So what Vault would do is act as, that central repository where your laptop is connected to the Vault and your desktop is connected to the Vault. So it's one source of data. And then just depending on what machine you want to work on those drawings with, you're going to check it out to that specific machine. and there's no copying back and forth. Vault is going to manage all of that for you through a checkout, check-in process. So that would work beautifully for you. So that's the benefit of using Vault. And then for the application, should Vault be configured on my desktop? So Vault, there's two components to it. There's a server side and a client side. So Vault needs to be configured on the server and set up, and then your client will have a Vault client, and that's just your window into the Vault. So really the configuration, some of the configuration is done on the server, and yes, there's still some configuration that needs to be done on the client side as well for your specific CAD application. So great question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Okay, and while you were talking, I read the next one. So Rob, to answer your question, you said, you just mentioned when publishing to PDF, you should be using the first layout. I thought I was told that layout should not be used in AutoCAD Electrical. Thanks. Okay, Rob, so that is a really good question and a common misnomer. So there are some people out there, even experts that I associate with, that love to say that. That is a very old school mentality to AutoCAD Electrical. And it really goes back to the early versions of AutoCAD where people are afraid of paper space in general because of not knowing how to function within it. And that, back in the day, we didn't have as great of utilities within it to be able to do things. So to be able to scale properly, you had to do some math like, let's see, 1/96 times the scale that I wanted to do, and then coming up with those to type that into your Zoom scale to get what you needed. I mean, those were issues in the 90s. They are not our issues anymore with it. So I'm so glad you asked that question. It's like I said, common misnomer that's carried through, I think, from the 90s. Not true at all. Your paper space is your ticket to solid drawings that will be printed appropriately. So printing and publishing is going to be far easier if you actually have these set up. Your title block should always be in paper space, as you see mine here. You should absolutely have, you can see the green window is my viewports on here. This is where all the magic happens when it comes to plotting. Once you set up your template appropriately, you really don't have to spend any time in paper space. It's already done, but it really does make for far better and cleaner drawings when you're plotting and publishing them. So you can do your work all in model space, but in paper space, you should be seeing this. And you can see, you don't even see the report that I put in here purposefully because I have my viewport set to just show me at a scale, a 1:2 scale, my drawing space here. Now, many of you might argue, schematics aren't really to scale, so it doesn't matter. And that's fine, but as soon as you get to panel, you are to scale, and it does matter. And I do think that it's really important that it's not just you're zooming your title block in and out and around the space that you have for your panel layouts. It's really important that you actually have that consistency. Again, it makes for better plots. It makes for easier publishing when you're publishing the whole project set, so you don't have to go in and manually adjust each one of those sheets. It also allows you to go, if you ever need to, I have some customers that do go between portrait and landscape without having to manually make those adjustments. You're already doing it in your paper space. So really good question. Glad you asked it. And yes, that is a common misconception, but is definitely not the case. You want to use paper space. You absolutely want to use it.
And Tiffany, going back to the refresh question or issue, had come up a lot of people saying that they have experienced this as well, and it's more so when there's multiple people working in the project. And then also, Ken had mentioned it's more using the add active drawing versus the way you did it.
Oh, okay, all right. So I guess I would be challenging, why are you, not that this should be happening, and I'll definitely test it, but why would you be using add active drawing? Why are you creating a drawing separately? You just create it directly in the project. The add active drawing is often from people who would go file, open a separate drawing like old school AutoCAD ways, or creating new from the old AutoCAD ways as opposed to doing it from the AutoCAD electrical interfaces. I could see that having a different refresh need. I would definitely do it natively within the electrical tools. That would be my advice. It's a good question.
It's saying adding old drawing to new project. So an existing old drawing to a new current project.
I see. And opening it first before doing that, as opposed to just add to project. You're doing an add active. Interesting. We can test it, but it still shouldn't be happening with that refresh rate. Now with multiple people in it, maybe that's why, because things are being replicated. So I could see that maybe being the case. Obviously in my environment, I don't have multiple people on this project set, but again, I wouldn't see that being a standard thing. I still think there's something going on with the hardware. So that would be my question. We'd have to do some testing. Okay, we are 10 minutes left and we have a lot of questions. So I think we are probably going to run out of time. And we will have to save these for the next one because I think they're all really awesome, but let's get through as many as we can. So let's see what we can do. For a bomb, when adding to a drawing, can you force it into multiple columns? So absolutely. I think what you're asking is when you run this bill of material, so you can create many columns. You can also force across different drawings. That's what I first thought you meant. So if you don't like the description bundling all of those columns, you can, any of these that you see in this list, if you pull them out to become their own fields to report, they become their own columns. So you can absolutely force as many columns as you want. Also, like I said, if you were to go to putting it on a drawing and you wanted it to split across multiple drawings, so you can say, you know, where you want your section placement to be, how many rows per section, and then you can even get down to how many sections per drawing and have it split off and do that. So yeah, all things possible with those reports. So back to bombs again. If we use the user field in the bomb report for internal stock numbers, what happens to those fields year to year? Do they persist or do they get overwritten by Autodesk version updates? What's the best way to manage from year to year? Great question. So what that would be, and I would highly recommend whenever you move to different versions of the software, you use our migration utility. So this is really, really important. This will merge and blend any of your current data that you have with the new version. So let's say a new catalog database comes out, which it does with every release. You then go to your catalog lookup file and you tell it what options you want it to do. So you can choose whether or not it just copies over the existing, overwriting existing files, or if you merge and maintain those. So there's your user 1 through 3 questions. So definitely make sure you do that, because what you want is all of the new versions, right? A lot of people just skip this step and just copy their old catalog into the new versions, but then you miss out on the updates to those new versions. So do the merge instead. Get your old version merged in. So you actually choose, so you can see on here, I'm in 2020. It's seeing that I have 2018 and 2019 on this computer. And then I would tell it what I want it to do. Don't just blanketly hit the OK button here. Go through these line by line and decide how you want it to manage the migration of those. But especially with the catalog, what you're talking about, you definitely want to merge where old file versions where it sees those and it sees them in the old version, you want those to be ported over so that you get all of your additions that you have. I'm going to sneeze and I'm trying not to. And then you want obviously it to copy over the new stuff. You want it to keep all of the new entries and then just merge in your existing entries with the updates that you have. So really, really good question there around migration. So good deal. So that's the key is don't uninstall your old version before you install the new version. You want to have them both on your computer so you can run that migration.
Yeah, we have a question about looks like PDM Works. So that's the SolidWorks PDM system. Does that play well with AutoCAD Electrical?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. In fact, that one I'm not even sure. I think they say that they support electrical, which might mean they do what I said about copying. You have to actually open your entire project. So you check out the entire project file, and so it limits to just one person working in that project at a time. But I actually can't remember if PDM Works even does that. It's not one of the ones that I've tested this with. Most of the other ones that actually say that they will support AutoCAD Electrical. I could give you names of ones that I know, but I've not come across any yet that can actually do the inner workings like this. So, but whether or not it even recognizes a project file at all, I'm not even positive of that answer. So good question, Mark. And hi, Mark, by the way. All right, what's the next one? Let's see if we can do this. We're close to the end. Maybe we can get through all of these in 4 minutes. I don't know. We'll see. Title block update. What is the purpose of the checkbox to the left of drawing description? It doesn't appear to do anything. Do you have to pick 1, 2, 3 or to get those lines to update? Yes. So it does do something, and really, really important. So if you're doing a title block update, you're asking about this one. I'm assuming, oh no, I'm sorry, you're not drawing number. You said drawing description. Yes. So these are the fields. Do you want it to go through and update lines 1, 2, or 3 to the drawing description? So what this references is this section of any drawing property. It references these 3 lines. If you do not check mark that and you don't choose which one of those you want it to update, so if you only check mark that and you don't choose 1, 2, or 3, it's not going to do anything. You have to check mark that you want it to run the update on those, as well as which lines you want it to update. So good question, and really important that you choose all aspects of what you need for that to be updated. But those are the things it references. So good question.
Jeff asks if there's a way to export E-plan design files out of AutoCAD Electrical.
No. Not from AutoCAD to E-plan. E-plan has an ability to export to DWG, or you can bring that in, but they're not intelligent. They are, I mean, I think it's even the testing I've done, it's even to the point of like, if you have a letter T in something, the T is 2 lines. Like it's not actually text that you can edit. So the export to DWG out of E-plan is not an ideal export. But there is not an export within here out to that. If you look at any of our actual export tools, I don't want the import. Where did we hide it? Sorry, I have to go back to my old school AutoCAD typing. Hold on. We can export to, no, that's not the one I wanted. I have to find it. We have lots of different file formats that we can, yeah. So we can export to DWF files, image files, things like that. We can also import in, if you've ever used it. Did they hide my other import? There we go. You can import in tons of files natively that are a much better way to do it than using those core utilities to do exports to DWGs because of how grainy and nasty they kind of become when they come in. This makes them far more intelligent when they come in. So we have a lot that we can bring natively in, but E-plan's not one of them. What else?
Yeah, I'm thinking for this one around the XREFs, maybe use absolute paths. I don't know if that's an option.
Wow, we have so many more questions in here than I thought we had. Now it just updated and refreshed again. So we're not going to get through everything. I'm so sorry, everybody. I will try to follow up with who I can separately. But if it's something that I think would be even better for the greater group, we might save those for the next meeting in March as well. But we are out of time. So I'm sorry. Ask me the XREF one, Matt. I'm not even seeing it. That's why I'm struggling with.
Yeah, so when files get moved to their quote unquote recycle bin for their lower permission users, is there a way to stop the XREFs from getting updated to make the relative path to the new location? Again, my thought is just that absolute path, right? When you set the absolute path, it stays defined as that, but I don't know if that would work.
And we also need to talk about how XREFs are handled within AutoCAD Electrical, because XREFs are a little bit, I'd want to know what you're XREFing, because in some ways it might be completely fine. In other ways, if you're expecting it to be a part of the reporting tools and things like that, I don't think that you would get everything that you need if it's being XREFed in. So I would be a little cautious with the XREFs and AutoCAD Electrical. Again, there could be lots of reasons to use them for things that we're not worried about pulling data on for the reporting aspect, but I'd really want to know more about what that is. But with that said, I'm so sorry we are a minute over, so thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you for joining. Thank you for all of the questions. Clearly, I'm glad we stuck with this format for today's as opposed to jumping into some of those other pieces that we've talked about doing in future webinars, just because there was clearly lots of questions. So I loved the questions. Matt, thank you. Huge help to me with all the vault questions. I'm greatly appreciative of you being here. And guys, we will continue this next month. So thank you again. See you in March, and excited for all the things you guys are doing with AutoCAD Electrical.
Yeah,
bye everybody.
Everyone. Thank you, Tiffany. Bye.